And there you have it. Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us here on Prime One, and it's time for us to get into Newsflash. From now, you have what you also can share with us here on the show in terms of the various topics that we're treating today. I'll be sharing that with you in a couple of minutes, but don't forget that Newsflash is proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise, Store Phones, Papa Path. We're grateful to them. This morning, you can walk into our shops, some branches, and get something for yourself. And we're talking about gadgets that makes your life very easy. If you want a phone, if you want a CCTV camera, if you're looking for refrigerators, if you're looking for some microwave, air condition, the very best place you can go is Franco Trading Enterprise. They've got quality that we're selling, and you have to also make sure that you give us a call and make some inquiries as well. Call the numbers on your screens and make those inquiries. And don't forget, you can also visit us, our website, and also download the app. Google Play Store is the Franco Trading app, and then you can get into our website. It's www.francotrading.com, and that's where you can also get all the details that you need in terms of what to buy and the branches you can buy all of these things from. All right, so let's do it that way. Franco Trading Enterprise says still phones, Papa Fee, and we're grateful to them. This flash is proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise, and we're going to be checking the front page of the newspapers as always, what has been reported, and then we'll get into our substantive issues right here on the show. Now, the CJ presser yesterday on her removal from office, she calls the process unconstitutional, unlawful, and dangerous to Ghana's democracy, and she insists she's still not going to resign, and she's explained why she won't resign. We're looking at all of that here on the show. And also, NPP has officially launched what they call the Patriotic Institute. Now, this seeks to train and nurture young individuals that will be becoming the new generation of NPP. And former President Akufo was there. He spoke about some of the things that he thinks the party is supposed to be looking at if they really want to get back the NPP that they've always wanted. And also, Dr. Baumia was there. And I mean, all the big men in the NPP were on there. Professor Michael K was also there as well. We'll be looking at that conversation also here on the show. But quickly, let me run through the front pages of the newspapers. My guest is seated, and then we'll get into the conversation. The Chronicle is here this morning. It says, my removal process is politically motivated. Chief Justice Tokono says so. And front page, the big story over there says, Zoom Lion lands in Burkina as African expansion agenda continues. And electricity tariff hits the roof despite city appreciation cuts. Seems worried, and that's also captured by the Chronicle this morning. At the back page, it says that President John Dramani Mahama meets Bill Gates in Brussels, Belgium, and there's been some talks over there as well. The business analyst says GJA elections, Kobna Yabua, Sempakru, Ato, others endorsed June 4, and Tokono government clash of a removal process, and BOG staff dismissal, Minority Condemns Act and demands immediate reinstatement. And away from that, concerned lawyers call for global action over Sami Omar's detention in Kenya, and GRA to introduce 15% of that on non-life insurance premiums from July 1. That's also captured by the business analyst this morning. Let's get into the New Republic. The New Republic says Iyoko sweeps ex-NAFCO cartel, CEO, wife, and 2 directors nabbed. That's the New Republic. Debt disaster rocks Kevin Archery and Tokono, blah, blah, blah. That says government says she must play by the rules or face the music, as reported by the New Republic. And ex-GRA boss, 2 others nabbed over SML scandal, and GJA elections plot thickens. And that's also captured by the New Republic. And the GJA election seems to be getting most of the front pages of the newspapers throughout this week and even last week. And I think that has been very competitive this year as well. So let's see what comes up with that. We'll be updating you on all of that. Overseer is here this morning and says there is no political agenda to remove you. Government fires back at Tokono. So right after the presser by the CJ, the embattled CJ, the government spokesperson, Felix also came out to respond to some of the issues. We'll be looking at all of that here on the show. Vote buying to rock GJA election again. The voters to get between 500 and 3,000 Ghana cedis each. Oh boy. There's things everywhere. Anyway, rich, smart, and young, a brand new champion to contest for NPP flag bearer. And rich, yeah, smart, young, yeah, but do they really have to put the rich over there? Former National Food Buffer Stock CEO reportedly picked up by Yoko. Any effort to link judges killing to your trial disingenuous, Kwachi Ofosu to Tokono, and that's on the front page of the VC. I'm not too sure what Doctor would say about the rich, the smart and the young and all of that, but I'll find out in a bit. Anyway, so that's the front pages of the various newspapers that we have this morning here on the show. Now in the studio, I've got Professor Michael Ayamga over here with me as an acting Deputy CEO of Environmental Protection Authority, and also been joined by Dr. Dixon Adumakokisi, former MP for Inyaso too. And you can also join us with your thoughts, WhatsApp, and also we're streaming live on Facebook, so you can also send your messages over there as well. Good morning. How are you doing, Doc? I'm doing quite well, and I'm happy to be here. It's nice to meet him finally. Oh, you haven't yet? I think last time I was on Zoom. On Zoom, okay. So in person, this is the first time. And there's one key thing, before I even zoom in, the water we drink depends on them. EPA, and I'm patiently waiting to see if they are doing all the things necessary to ensure that Ghana Water provides us with good drinking water, and that's my charge for him and his mother. I think she's the CEO is a female, so I think I'm right to say your mother. Yeah. And I need to also even find time to come visit EPA, because this one is not is colorless like water, apolitical, and very important for Ghana as a whole. I've always been of the opinion that all mining companies in this country need to be paying for the water facilities. Because right now, literally, whether they like it or not, they contribute heavily to the challenges we have in terms of drinking safe water. So, sorry, today I'm putting you on the line. It's fine. I think lawyer also did the same thing last week. So you're going to be experiencing this, I'm sure, every test. If you keep coming, we'll keep asking about water. I hope when lawyer joins us, he doesn't also have a new dig at me before we start. Anyway, speaking of that, lawyer will be joining us shortly. But Prof, thank you so much for making time for us this morning as well. I really appreciate it. But let's big lawyer join us right now. But let's take a look at this video. And then when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Do stay.
Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, all but insinuated that there was some political agenda at play to oust her, and that this whole process is a result of sin. Let me place on record, without fear of contradiction, and let me be clear that no such political agenda exists. His Excellency the President took an oath to which he was incidentally sworn by Her Ladyship the Chief Justice herself. And in that oath, he swore to abide by the 1992 Constitution. He is enjoined to act a particular way when he receives petitions of the sort that he has received. And that is all that His Excellency has done. He has had no choice in the matter. The President cannot say that he has a view about how things should be done, and therefore, if petitions have come, he will fail to act. If he did that, he himself would be in breach of the Constitution, and therefore, he has been enjoined to act as any responsible leader or President of the Republic of Ghana would be required to do, as stipulated by the 1992 Constitution. The fourth point is also that we cannot have a sacred cow mentality in the way that we handle state affairs. Every single public official, from the President to the Speaker, to the Chief Justice, to Supreme Court judges, to ministers, to all public office holders, are bound by the provisions of Ghanaian law. Indeed, it was the former Australian Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd, who once said that when you join the game, you play by the rules. So no public official is allowed to raise him or herself above the laws of Ghana. The other point that I wish to also place on record is that the attempts to link the dastardly killings of some Supreme Court judges and a military officer to this case are most disingenuous. To begin with, this government and President Mahama have nothing to do with the killing of any judge. Second, there's absolutely no nexus between the petitions that have been brought and that unfortunate incident in our past. So any effort to link the two is regrettable and should not find space in this sort of discourse. It is most undesirable, it is most unacceptable. Now, the venue in question is the Edu Lodge. Yes, it is close to the Osu Castle, which used to be the former seat of government. As I speak, there are government agencies that operate there. So it is a public place. The Osu Castle is a public place. You can go there to conduct official government business. Beside it are private residences owned by Ghanaians who move freely in and out of their residence, even though they are situated very close to the Osu Castle. So the impression that a facility in the vicinity of the Osu Castle necessarily makes it intimidating or foreboding is completely misplaced. It is unfair. It is not justifiable. Now, Edu Lodge is a state facility which is often used to house high-ranking officials who visit the Republic of Ghana. It belongs to the state. The decision to use that place was not that of government or President Mahama. The committee requested that they needed facilities of a certain status that could house their activities and that could facilitate a smooth running of the proceedings. And that facility was available. It is equipped with modern amenities that will facilitate the work of the committee. And the state only offered it upon the request of the committee. Let me also state that that facility is not intimidating. It is like any regular state facility where business can be conducted to the extent that it is put in the right shape. Wherever these proceedings were held, it will still be in camera, as clearly stipulated in Article 1468 of the 1992 Constitution. So that the proceedings are being held in camera is only in compliance with the Constitution. So it doesn't matter where it is held. And any security measure put in place is only intended to secure the place.
And that's the government spokesperson, Felix, responding to the issue of the CJ after she came out with that press. And now she mentioned that some of the issues that and allegations that have been leveled against her throughout the trial, including her travels, also some of even the venue where the entire committee is having that trial. She also spoke about that as well. And we're going to be looking at it. Now, a lot of people were expecting that after saying all the things she was saying, she was going to say that, well, in all of these that have happened, she believes that it is time for her to actually resign or, just let this whole thing go on without her being part of it and all that. But she still insists that she's going to go through this process to the end of it because she's doing it not for herself, but for posterity's sake. And the fact that many people, who have been watching on and seeing all that is happening would have to see her go through it so that she can prove her innocence. And so we're looking at this issue here on the show this morning. You can send your messages to us and let us know what you think. Lawyer has joined us this morning as well. Lawyer, I hope you're good.
I'm good. My name is Kwame Jantua.
Lawyer Kwame Jantua.
That was the name my father gave me. The lawyer wasn't.
So you don't have any other name apart from Kwame Jantua, right?
Oh, I've told you my full name.
Which no.
Papa Odikru Kwame Jantua.
Never knew about that.
I told you.
I never knew.
That's my full name, but I can't come and sit and Papa Odikru Kwame Jantua. Me di any odinjira.
Oh, I see.
Yes. Football.
Anyway, Papa Niku, I think I'm going to be calling you Papa Niku.
It's my name. My father never gave any of us English names.
I see.
None of us. None of Pim Janto. Yeah, none of us.
You have a relative in the UK I met recently.
Called?
I don't know. She's a woman.
Half of the relatives, they're plain.
Yeah. I just remembered. We met in.
The family is big.
Cool. Yeah, beautiful.
Very big.
I see. Let me start off with you, Doc.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had an intel that she's going to be coming out with this presser yesterday. Many people were actually not expecting that she was going to, talk, because right from the point the process started, people have been asking her, wouldn't you come out and talk, and all of that. Her lawyers, have all been around. Did we see this coming?
First of all, I think there's one local thing I need to put out. My former party chairman, Albert Sam, today is his birthday.
Oh, okay.
So I need to put that out there, and if not, I can go back to the constituency.
There'll be more problems.
I've said a few things in relation to this case.
Yeah.
And I'll repeat them today. I don't know her personally. She has a very sterling reputation, long career service in the judiciary.
Yeah.
I agree with her on this fight, because I don't think it's a fight for just her, but it's a fight for the rights of the office she holds. And I've always said that barring the political nuances, the removal of any CJ in the future will depend on what happens today. And for that reason, I think that in the interest of democracy, she needs to fight it to the end. Not just for her, but the position she holds. And it might look cool now under the NDC administration, as in to pay back. Let me put it that way, whether we like it or not. If it's a payback, but we are setting the pace for another government that may come, and also then now become the norm, that when you come as president, you then create your own CJ. And that is my worry in terms of our democracy, because the president nominates the Speaker of Parliament, and then the president, now we're setting ourselves up for the next president to also then nominate both CJ and then the Speaker. Now, I won't enumerate some of the things she said, but I can almost say that it may trigger a petition also against the current Speaker of Parliament, because some of the things she said, especially with her travel expenses, I think it's a low point in the politicking, because without a doubt in my mind, I think for health reasons, our current Speaker has really blown out a lot of state funds for his health travels, not alone even other things. But my key point here is that this sets the government up for somebody. I don't have the time all day, but it sets us up for somebody to also take on the Speaker of Parliament for his travels. But that is unfortunate. And I really think that another thing that came up, which people argued was not the case, was the fact that she made recommendation to expand the number of judges. And I remember the NDC was at her and in fact, we did not even prosecute that, because the NDC stopped us in the 8th Parliament from, as it is, going through the process of confirming 5 or less judges. Now, in this same period where she's been, as it is, petitioned for the expansion or even the process that she was using, my key point is that John Dramani Mahama has recommended or let me even say not recommended, nominated 7, not 5, and has been approved. So it begs the question, in one breath, this woman made a point that looking at the cases and the need to expedite, Supreme Court cases, and the need to have attention, more detail, more research done for people's cases at the Supreme Court. She felt that we should expand. She recommended 5. If the process was wrong or right, I mean, you cannot hang somebody for a crime not as it is, certainly committed. And this is administrative, in for lack of a better word. And I think that it's so telling that the NDC administration should just come out and say that, listen, we intend to remove you whether you're right or wrong, and we're not going to use necessarily the appropriate way. I mean, one worrying thing, and that one, I think Jantua has to at least be fair on this case, very important. She says that her petitions, whatever it is that are against her, let me have them. Listen, when you go to court, the small that I know is that if there's anything against you, the prosecutors will have to give them to the defense lawyer for them to look at. But here's the case. It seems that her lawyers are not privy to the crimes, all the crimes that she's alleged to have committed. And I think it's the most ridiculous injustice in our time. And I cannot, for lack of a better word, support it. And I think that, listen, you can give me all the gibberish, excuse me, that Ofosu was given. You can give me all the gibberish, but the key thing remains, justice, you can't be just about 60% and unjust with 40. If you are delivering justice, let's do the right thing in totality. And he keeps, throwing this thing about the president. No, it's not about the president. There's nothing about John Dramani Mahama. No, we're talking about an entire process. And let me put this on record that if the president does everything in his, let me say, constitutional rights, and people down the stream do not, it doesn't make the process right. And per what I know, even how you arrest, if it is wrongful arrest, can lead to the let going of the suspect. I mean, in my small experience with the law, how you collect evidence, if you don't collect it using appropriate, means to do it, it can be taken out of court. So I think that for this issue, which is a very, let me say, superstar issue, and a test of Ghana's democracy, the independence of the judiciary, the independence of the other arms of government, and the fact that the executive, and let me say this, the executive is not necessarily all-powerful and almighty over the MPs or over the judges. And this is very important. And in concluding, I think that in all fairness, I think that the NDC's reputation with judges in this country, not to remind us of some of the problems in terms of, J.J. Rollins, and leading up to what we are now with the NDC, I was hoping that we'll be a bit more careful with how we manage judges. And I think that the NPP largely looks out for judges more so than the NDC does. And I think that reputation now is becoming very clear for me in my small time on earth, that a party that looks out for judges is the NPP, not the NDC. And the NDC needs to guard and manage this reputation very well, because for me, for now, I think that the rights of judges are always trampled when the NDC administration is in power. That is my opinion.
Prof,
you are at liberty to have a different...
Yeah, and I want to be sure about what Prof, thinks about this, Prof. Do you agree or disagree?
I was yearning to have a go. I almost interjected him. But you see, the thing is neither here nor there. You are talking about a judicial process, a legal process. Mostly, as someone who is not a lawyer, I would say issues are judicated. Yeah, I won't describe them. I won't talk about them on air. But for the singular act of the former or suspended Chief Justice yesterday, I sit here emboldened to talk about it because she has taken the sanctity of the Supreme Court to the gutters. And as I sit here, I don't feel any compulsion to hold back what I would say, because what is good for the goose is good for another goose.
Ganda.
No. Another goose.
Man to man.
Another goose.
This is comrade level.
But you see, we're educating people, so we have to say the right thing.
Yes. I want to react a little to doctors' assertions and jumping into the fray and siding with the former Chief Justice that this is political persecution. I think it's a bit overrated. I want to ask her, was the removal of Charlotte Osei political persecution?
And that's why...
I'm asking... No, I didn't interject when you...
No, Doc, I'll come back to you to respond to that.
Yes. Sorry. Was that political persecution? I am sitting here and I'm struggling. As he was talking, he said I was Googling. I wanted to find a press statement where Charlotte Osei came out on air to challenge the process to remove her. And I want to find anywhere that the Charlotte Osei was sitting in a room of her choosing with her spouse patting her shoulder and telling her, oh, you can go through this, and then the children sitting there. I want to see that image so that I can know that the Chief Justice is being treated unfairly.
Maybe Charlotte she was fairly treated, and that's why she didn't come out to say anything.
Let's be honest. Did you see it? Did you see a press conference? No. That is the difference between someone who respects the sanctity of law in this country
and not because she was treated unfairly.
Someone who has taken it to the gutters. Now, what she did yesterday was to actually go and talk about the integrity of the judicial process, talk about the fitness of her colleague judges, discuss the nitty-gritties of the case pending before a constitutional body, before the public, take a stance, and then describe the whole process as unconstitutional. If I did that here, I'll be standing before the Supreme Court, charged for contempt. And that's why I'm calling on Acting Chief Justice, His Lordship Bonny, that if nothing happens to CJ, the suspended CJ, then they should expect that we will continue to sit on air everywhere and discuss things that are sub-judicate without any...
You want them to take her on for contempt?
For contempt. And I want to see her punished because that is what she displayed yesterday. It's not about the content. It's not about the choosing. It's just about the way she talked about the nitty-gritties of the issue. That means that she has actually more or less torpedoed the constitutional provision that set up the commission overseeing her removal.
But she rightly responded to many of the allegations leveled against her. You think that it wasn't good for
she broke the supreme crime. The chief crime here is that she discussed into details things that are still under review. She has not been removed, has she?
She's been suspended.
She's been suspended, which is a constitutional provision. She has not been found guilty. You have not established that any one of the members of the panel have voted in one particular way or the other. In fact, yesterday, one of the things that shocked me was he said because Justice Puama dissented in a case that involved her, it means that Justice Puama is prejudiced in this issue. When has dissenting on the bench become a personal issue? That beat my imagination. And then to talk of it all, you see, if anyone in Ghana had any sentiment of doubt about her unfitness to lead the judiciary in this country, yesterday finished it. Because she has shown great disregard for a co-equal branch of government, which is the executive, by just painting the presidency as a witch hunt machine, disrespecting the president in the first place, and describing the president as someone who probably took her to maybe a murder scene to torture her. That's what she alluded to yesterday, which I think anyone who claims to have the accolades that she is strutting all over the place as a seasoned lawyer would think twice before doing. So I'm saying here without any provocation, okay, we no longer have to discuss the merits of this issue because she has taken the law to the gutter. One other thing I want to correct here is the attempt to link Speaker Gbagwin's travels for health purposes with that of the Chief Justice. I didn't hear that Speaker Gbagwin traveled with her family or with his family.
Or on a vacation.
In a manner that contravened the provisions set out for people to travel. So that was completely flawed. In the past, I've traveled with my family abroad. I paid from my pocket. My sponsors paid for me, and I paid for my family from my pocket. So that wouldn't have been wrong if the Chief Justice had done that. So I think that we need to separate the facts.
But she mentioned that it was part of her benefit.
Yes.
It was not like if she did something untoward.
What Doc has also said even muddies the water more, trying to differentiate between how MPP takes care of judges and the NDC doesn't. I think that political characterization is neither here nor there. How many times has Justice Tokono's case been thrown out of court? How many times? Are you trying to tell me that there are NDC members sitting on that Supreme Court? Is it not even justices appointed by Akufo-Addo that threw out her case the first time we saw a unanimous decision going the other way? Just the recent one. Doc, if I'm...
It's not the first time.
No. No, I'm just talking about her. Yes, so the law is the law, as she said. And if it comes to her turn to dance, she should dance. Let's not play politics with this. I believe that the things she did in office are reprehensible. And she needs to face the music for it. She tries to trivialize the impact that she transferred a judge on the eve of maybe the determination of a case, throwing the whole process off guard. If that is not incompetence, tell me the definition of it. Yes, so it's not just a superficial description of what she did, that or she transferred a judge which is within her right. It is the implications of the transfer that matters. And so we need to look at it. And when she spoke about it yesterday, she came trying to project herself as a victim. If the others that suffered damage because of her decisions also came to speak, address the nation like she did, they'll be in jail for contempt. And that's why I'm calling on Chief Justice Bafuboni to act. Otherwise, we risk descending into chaos in this country with discourses.
All right. Thank you very much, Prof. Let me move to Lawyer Jantwa. You followed. Is justice being served here?
Good morning.
Morning.
Justice Tukon, Chief Justice Tukon is a friend. A friend of mine. I know her. But you know something? I was saddened yesterday.
Why?
Because I think the platform for the things she said was at the, is it tribunal?
Yeah.
Was with the committee. And it looked as if, and this is the first time a Chief Justice has done this, it looked as if she was courting and playing to the gallery. And I was sad because of that, because that office is not a political office. That office is part and parcel of our governance trajectory in terms of the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. So in handling that office, you've got to be very circumspect. And she has the right. She is fighting on her principles. But fighting on your principles, does that make it right to do what she's doing with regards to courting the public? All the things she mentioned in there, she will mention it when she is being, the case comes up.
Yeah.
But there is a case, when my colleagues were talking, I was struggling my mind, there is a case that indicates what she did yesterday. And the case is New Patriotic Party, MPP versus Attorney General 2017. In that case, the Supreme Court of Ghana held that the proceedings of the court cannot be discussed in public, citing the need to maintain the dignity and authority of the court. What were the key points of that case? The sub judice rule. And it says, the court's decision emphasizes the importance of the sub judice rule, which prohibits public discussion of ongoing court cases. 2, judicial proceedings. The ruling highlights the need to protect the integrity of judicial proceedings and prevent interference with the administration of justice. And then 3, contempt of court. The court noted that discussing ongoing cases in public can amount to contempt of court, which can undermine the authority of the judiciary. She's one person who knows all this. Who is advising her to do that? Again, she seemed to put aside 146. But this particular case is stooped in 146. And 146.8 indicates all proceedings under this article shall be held in camera, and the justice or chairman against whom the petition is made is entitled to be heard in his defense by himself or by a lawyer or other experts of this choice. What she did yesterday, can it be termed as proceedings? Can it? It can.
Yeah.
Because of the details and the content of what she talked about. And really, was it the NDC who put the petition in? The politics is trying to change this thing as if there is some witch hunt behind it. Who put the petitions in? Did the president do what he's supposed to do when he receives a petition? Did he? Did he go through the process?
Yep.
Was the process right? Was there any utterance in the process? Not that we know of. Not that we know of. So I felt, when I was listening to her, I said to myself, but madam, you know better. You're no mean person. You're a Chief Justice. And in some countries, you won't even hear what is going on till the final result. Because right now, what I think she's done, she's pitched herself against those who are going to listen to her case, her own colleagues. That is something you should think about. What is the after impact and effect of this whole thing that is going on? If I were her, I would just wait for my turn, make sure my case is clad in iron. Nothing can push me. Yes, all the things that have gone on, but I need to defend my case, and I'll defend my case in front of the committee that has been set up. The reference of the judges and all that, for me, I thought it was sensationalism. What are you trying to say? You're a strong woman. Such things shouldn't intimidate you. You shouldn't. So why do you bring it in? And really, as you started and as you said, I was of the opinion that she was coming to say, give all the what you could and tell us, look, guys, my integrity is much more important. Let anybody think what they think. But this is the state of the affairs. I've left it. I'm going.
So it ends it all.
Simple. By doing that, you even get more public sympathy. Because if you want to go down the political line, and the political line has made its mind up, are you going to win? Mm-hmm. No matter what you do, no matter what hole or crevice or anywhere you try to put it, you won't win. You won't win. So really and truly, I was sad. But, you know, most importantly, on a wider scale, as we do the constitutional review, we should look at how people of that stature are nominated. The basis of most of these things has got to do with the fact that it's the president who nominates. And that brings the what?
The political aspect
into it. And gives Doc the chance to say MPP and NDC, the judges. No. Let's kill that. Let's go down the British way of how they nominate their Supreme Court judges. With a commission, with lay people part of that commission, with some judges and lawyers part of that commission, and then let people who feel they have the wherewithal and expertise to sit in that chair and go to that office bring their application. And then once that is done, then the Prime Minister or the President is advised and is taken through. By so doing, all this political coloration can stop. Look, we are doing constitutional review. That constitutional review should be pure and should be able to stand the test of time. Remember, this constitution was done when? 92. At that time, there were so many things that were plagued. Even the MPP didn't stand in that election, did they? It was President Rawlings. President Rawlings was very influential at that time. And that fear factor was in there.
In drafting?
Yes, the fear factor was still there. We have moved on how many years? 92 to 2025 is what? 30-something?
About 30-something years.
Something years. Things have changed 92 into 2025. And it needs to be reviewed and reviewed. And in fact, there has to be a clause in the Constitution which indicates after a certain duration of time, it is looked at again. Why? Things are changing fast. Today we have AI. Do you know the impact of AI on everything we do? The impact of technology on everything we do.
People put their picture there and they say they want a replication of that picture in a certain way, and AI will provide exactly that. It looks like anybody can use that image to do anything they want to do.
So there's a wider discussion we need to have. Wider discussion. But for me, if I were her, after this, I will wait. Let them have the hearings. And she indicated that she wants to have the hearings in public. Why? I believe if she were still not suspended and a similar case like this came up and the judge said, your ladyship, I want this case to be held in public.
She would have said the law.
She said the law is the law. She said the law is the law. So I'm expecting her to just abide by the principles of what is in. You might have principles, and you might be arguing on principle that you believe is right. But does the general public that you are appealing to believe those principles are right? No, and Dr. Gezi will tell you, MPP might believe, NDC might not believe. Have a CPP put us aside.
She has intention to pursue this again. In fact, her lawyers would be filing another one.
Yes, she's gone to the High Court.
Yes, she intends to stop
it.
Exactly. This is not the first time she's going to be doing this.
We don't want this thing to end in the gutter.
Is that where it's going right now?
And at this point,
the Prof says that it's already there.
At this point, it also depends on how the judges who have been nominated to hear this case, how they also act.
You think what she did yesterday is going to have some influence in how they go about this on those judges?
No, I hope it doesn't have an influence, because they are there to execute the truth and nothing else but the truth. And I expect them to go according to the evidence that they have. That evidence is key. What if it so happens that the Chief Justice is exonerated? Will she base it on the fact that she has come out into the public domain and said these things? Is that what she will base it on? Or will she base it on the evidence that the judges who are listening to her have seen? And that is why I feel this public thing that she's doing does not help anybody. Look, it is not the individual we talk about. It is the office. Right now, if somebody says something, look, when President Mahama took the gift of the vehicle,
those cars, yeah.
what was said? What was said?
About the office?
The office.
Yeah.
So he's defaming the office.
Yeah.
So it is not the individual, it is the office. And that is where we should show respect. Otherwise, you bastardize the office. People can say anything about the Supreme Court judge's office. It's not important. It's more the individual. It shouldn't be. So far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't be. That's why you should tread carefully with situations like this. Even with the executive, if he becomes a minister, or my good brother here becomes a minister, and something poignant has been said against you, which is heading for the courts, I don't expect him to have a press conference. I expect him to have lawyers gathering the evidence that will exonerate him. That is what I'm looking for. And let the deal happen in court. When the, came, the petition, was there not evidence? Did the Electoral Commission, did she open her mouth?
No.
It was a right in court not to. It's a right in court not to. So I would suggest that, look, you've taken it to the High Court. Let's see what the High Court says. But because of her position as the Chief Justice, that office is what we're looking at. And if I could advise her, let us all wait for these proceedings to start. And then if it so happens that you're exonerated, so be it. If it so happens that they find you guilty, so be it. You lead your life. Period.
Doc, you wanted to respond to Prof on some of the things that he mentioned. You still stand by some of the things that he said.
I want to put it on record that unfortunately, since the NDC came, many civil servants have been let go. Many other positions have been let go. And personally, I think that this trajectory will not help us. And the climax of those actions
is what we're seeing right now.
Is like the CJ. Now, the other thing is that we need to distinguish between EC and Electoral Commission and the CJ.
It's
The two for 6. No. I beg to differ in the sense that the 3 arms of government leadership, you can look at it in terms of the benefits.
The EC determines who leads this country, president. You can't.
No.
It's the same process.
The EC's office is not an arm of government. I beg to differ, Professor.
So
is it an arm?
No, that doesn't mean that they are law. It's the same law over all of us. It's the same law.
Nobody is above the law. I agree.
It's the same law.
But my point is that this is not Electoral Commission. We're talking about the 3rd arm of government. And I beg you, the authorities help.
Determine who become president. Is that not it? Even determine who becomes Chief Justice.
But the key thing here, please, and that you cannot dispute.
No.
3 arms of government, equal in power. Electoral Commission is not ranked the same as the CJ.
We are talking about the process, which is Article 146. The same process that's been applied here.
But
he's looking at it.
If you give me the chance to remove the Chief Justice, to control the Chief Justice or to control the Electoral Commissioner, I'll choose the Electoral Commission. Because through the Electoral Commission, you can get the president
through the CJ.
So to say that the electoral commissioner can be treated anyhow.
No, listen. My distinguishing thing here is that let's not compare apples to oranges, because what I'm talking about is the authority
these are all
held
apples from
by
in those two offices.
Yeah, the executive cannot lord over the CJ. Neither can the CJ lord over the executive. And neither can the executive lord over the parliamentary. So there's not a sub arm of government like 3.5. So I beg you, I understand that the CJ and the EC, yes, nobody is above the law, I agree. And procedurally, if you want to remove them, yes, you use the same process. But they are not equal. They are not equal. And let me just use it in our local parlance. A paramount chief to distill one compared to, what do you call it? An ordinary chief. I mean, there are two levels in a traditional scheme. The things that it would take you to distill a paramount chief cannot be equal to a mahine. I mean, I beg you.
You have to amend the constitution.
Is the power not in those offices?
It's the constitution we are talking about here.
But
it's the constitution.
And I'm saying that we are talking about three arms of government. You can impeach the president through a process. You can impeach the parliament, the speaker, through a process. You can also do that with the CJ. And what I'm saying here today is that, listen, it's almost like telling me that the removal of a CEO is the same as the removal of the,
manager.
It's not.
You are a member of parliament.
Yes.
You know, it's a categorization of the people in the office. I think they call Article 70 office. I'm not a lawyer, but the process for removing them is determined by the category of the office. That's why there used to be ex gratia for a particular...
No, but do you agree that the offices are not the same?
I'm saying that the offices are categorized in one particular group. That if you want to remove an officer under this category, use Article 146. And that is it. So if you use it for...
The law is no respecter of person, but my point is that the authorities are different.
It is the constitution.
Prof, you don't agree that those officers have different authorities in terms of the CJ,
we can't compare.
What I agree with is that we are all equal under the law, and that the law should not be applied with...
But those argument is the fact that the CJ's office is an arm of government.
It's an arm of government.
And that proceeds in a certain way the EC's office.
Predicts how the Chief Justice should be removed, and the Constitution also predicts how the Electoral Commissioner should be removed. All set up under one article. It's applied to the Electoral Commissioner. Nothing is happening. It's now Chief Justice, and you think that it is flawed. For one reason or the other, we should have made another constitution or another provision for them. If you want that to happen, go present it to the Constitutional Review Committee and tell them that to remove the Chief Justice...
I think you are still not appreciating, but that's fine.
I'm not appreciating it because what you are saying is neither here nor there. It's the constitutional provision that the president is following. So until we have a new constitution that separates those processes, the law is the law.
No, nobody's above the law. I agree.
And I think the dog admit to that.
I'm agreeing that. In fact, the same manner of prosecution of an ordinary person on the street needs to be applied. For instance, if the CJ caused murder, I'm not expecting us to say that because she's a CJ,
there should be a different.
But what I'm saying is that, listen, the removal of a Chief Justice cannot be equal to Electoral Commission. That one, my mind cannot be. My point is that the weight. And if you allow this to go through, my goodness, we are in trouble as a nation. And my key thing is that we'll have some idiot as president one day, and that idiot will then come and with no substantive matters at hand, also suspend another CJ and then remove another CJ. And this is chaotic. We are setting ourselves up. Look, it looks so right now because maybe it might be a different party or whatever. But my point is that, listen, we need to think through this carefully. This process of because maybe she may have acted or tilted in a certain way or done something unfavorable, so we intend to pay her back. Listen, it's fine for the party to do this rhetoric. It's fantastic, but listen, it's not good for Ghana. We're not setting a very good precedent for the future, and that's why I worry. I worry deeply about this. And listen, there's even another ambit which I didn't want to talk about, but the fact that Mr. President, unfortunately, during the campaign, made very strong case that he will make changes to the justices, and I mean that is like premeditated, and I don't want to go into all of these things. If, for instance, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama had never stood on any podium and said that the judges need changes, I wouldn't be here talking about it.
Provide evidence.
Oh, that's video evidence.
Provide evidence.
And
there
if
where that President Mahama has said he was going to change any justice.
This is
media house.
So, yes. I mean, there are videos.
No.
There are videos.
That
it's not.
Said he was going to remove.
During the campaign trail. Yes.
Come on. Let's.
Yes.
No.
Maybe not categorically what he's saying, but he made reference. He made reference to.
So there's no video.
Talk about improving reviewing the constitution, which is doing, which is an open process. Does that mean it's changing of judges? I know of the fact that the discussion on the review of the constitution was discussed on the campaign, which is a good thing to do, like our senior Contempt has just mentioned here. And I don't think you need to go anywhere to find out that there is no way you can find that President Mahama during the campaign.
I think this is premeditated.
Yes, no, it's
okay.
not.
Let me go to
You see, the fact that the Chief Justice has now opened this discussion up to the public also then gives the public the chance to do what? To interrogate the petitions. Do you have a copy of the petition?
They won't even give it to her. No. How do we get it?
I'm talking about the public. I'm talking about
she made mention.
Well, she said she's not sure whether what the president gave her
is exactly what is found its way. Yeah.
Where does that come in?
And even her response, if it's been given.
Does that come in? So right now, you are pushing the justices who are hearing your case to bring the evidence out, and you bring your evidence out.
Then we
the general public. Why? Why? So let's interrogate the petitions and see what they've put in the petitions, whether it really happened. And that is the court of public opinion you're going into, which we don't need to go down that route. And remember, where the Supreme Court is concerned, it is specific in the Constitution. When you go to 1462, it says, and I quote, a justice of the Supreme Court of Judicature or a chairman of regional tribunal may not only be removed in accordance with the procedure, may only be removed in accordance with the procedure specified in this article. Specific. So yesterday, the suspended Chief Justice, referring it to other clauses in the Constitution, I didn't see how. I really didn't see how. I am against the court of public opinion involved in this case, especially when the case hasn't been heard. If it so happened that the case has now been heard and we have seen what the verdict is, whether good on her side or bad on her side, then we can sit and discuss. Is she entitled to an appeal? She's entitled to an appeal. She's a Ghanaian. A fundamental human right to do that. Based on that, we move it forward. You want to stop a process that an ordinary Ghanaian has said, we don't think you did right. You want to stop that process. You've taken it to the High Court today. And you see, you are trying the case in the High Court before it even comes back to her. And let's see what the High Court says.
But the Chief Justice knows all of these. She knows where she's
and you see, that is what baffles me. That is what about you. You are
No, but defense.
You are the
Yeah, that's true,
bastion.
but,
You are the bastion. You are the bastion.
All
of the law.
strategies necessary.
You are the bastion of the law.
All strategies necessary.
And as I said, it's, and you see,
It's just making her case worse.
Whatever the case is,
Yeah.
it's a very technical office where it is people who have risen to that point,
Wrongful removal.
who understand the intricacies of that office. Yes, as I continuously say, it's her right. It's her right. But the fact that it's your right, is it good to go down that route? Is it? So I would have felt,
The person holding her neck
whatever the case
is not using the right
there
approach.
is a petition that the president has acted on. Any president, petition like this sent to you, you have to act on it. It is not a will or a may, it's a shall. Mandatory, you have to act on it. And if you act on it and the processes that are laid down in the Constitution for you to act on, you go ultra-vires to those processes, then maybe we can hold the president responsible. But he's gone through the process. The political angle now comes in. And the political angle now undermines that process, which is happening today. Because really, KMJ, we shouldn't be sitting around this table discussing this case.
Yeah.
It's sub judice.
We have levies to discuss about.
It is sub judice. I've referred you to a case that was
the MPP versus
ruled.
Attorney General.
Yes, it's sub judice. So we shouldn't even be discussing it. But how can somebody who holds that high office bring it down into the general public? That is my case.
So all this could have been avoided.
It's simple.
If she kept through,
She's seen the
the
evidence
process
and
without
knows
coming
she
out
can
to
get out
say
of it.
And this is where
anything.
And this is where the office becomes important, and the person who sits in that office should use, I don't want to use the word, but should be more attuned to the fact that it can create things that are not there. Because really, you and I and all of us, we shouldn't be discussing this case. We shouldn't. All we need to do is to follow the process that is going through. Ask whether the processes have been followed. If the processes haven't been followed, you and I can say, but the process, this is what the Constitution says. And the president didn't follow the process because he didn't even select a committee, and it looks as if the politicians are the ones who are looking at this thing. No, but that wasn't so. For instance, yesterday, Evans Mensah of Joy FM interviewed the chairman of the NDC.
Yeah.
And some of the things he said, I'm in disagreement. It is not you to come and sit there and talk about electoral commission. It's not you.
He's a party chairman.
He's a party chairman. He's a party chairman. But even if that is the thinking, it shouldn't be you.
Makes very strong statement about the EC. And
But that is not. That is not.
That they'll be moved. Yes, it is not hidden.
That's why there's no video on Mahama saying that they change the justice. There's no video.
Don't put words in my mouth because I'm not going to understand. The point I'm making is that there are offices that will handle the electoral commission. And then,
yeah.
And if that is even the thinking,
You're on air.
right now, yes, I'm on air. Right now, what have you put in the general public? What kind of
prejudge?
What kind of perception have you put in the minds of the general
I think to be
public?
fair to General, I don't think he's not a political office holder. He's a party chairman, and he has the right to voice out things that
He's the chairman of party in government.
There's no constitutional like chairman of party in government. He's chairman of party and
he has some appointments.
And you know something?
Let's separate.
He has some appointments. I don't want to mention it here.
And you know something? Prof, you know something? Prof, you know something? Prof.
He has a political appointment. That's what Doc
for holding an idea about EC.
You know something?
EC that is not the same as CJ.
In the last administration, both on the NDC and MPP side, we saw the party directing the legislature. We saw the parties directing the
Where
legislature.
does that happen?
It cost even Haruna his job.
Everywhere.
It cost even Haruna his job.
The party,
very bad.
Is it right?
I say even
The independence of the parliamentary...
oldest democracy, the United States that we all always are quick to cite as an example.
I'm talking Ghana.
Backdoor manipulation of legislators happen. The president
is it right?
Here, President Trump.
Wait.
So the question would not be if it's right for things
No,
like that.
KMD.
That's why they are elected on party.
Let me answer him.
That's why they are elected on party.
Let me answer him. Is it the parties that vote parliamentarians into office?
No.
The parliamentarians run on the party to be elected.
Wait. Who votes parliamentarians into office?
The various constituencies, the people.
So if for anything at all, where do they go first?
That's where they're supposed to be going.
Exactly. Exactly. Before you come back to the party. But it looks in our politics today, and I'm not only blaming you guys, in our politics today,
For both sides.
both sides, it's Fourth Republic. Parliamentarians will run to the party before running to the people. But it's the people who put you there. And in most democracies, when you go to the UK, they go to their constituents first. Because if you hear them in Parliament, the parliamentarians in the UK talking, they even mention names of their constituents and what they've said. Does it happen here?
I don't think it happens that way. You can't tell where they have, who have their asked first. I don't think so. You can't say if I come out as a member of parliament today and I'm talking, you can't say whether I spoke to the party first or to my constituents
But
first.
it is so obvious. It is so obvious.
Maybe the way we've gone about
It is so obvious. The body language, the way they talk, it's obvious that they haven't been the constituencies. And even if they've been, what party says is what goes. Should it be so? So it's not even a question of the party. It's a question of the system that we've put in place. And that system has to change. For us to get true democracy and true honesty, it has to change. Who changes it?
I agree with that.
Those in power. Executives, legislature, judicial, is got to change. Because why? The people should always come first before any political party.
I'm going to be doing a few messages, but let me say a very big thank you to Franco Trading Enterprise, though, for its Papa Path here. They are responsible for this very segment here on the show. Go get your televisions, your CCTV cameras, your phones from Franco Trading Enterprise. Give them a call and make sure that you also you download the app, Google Play Store. There's the Franco Trading app. You can go there and download it, and you get all the things that you need when it comes to Franco Trading Enterprise. All your gadgets is the place that you can get it at. I'd like to say a big thank you to Habil's Couture for my costume as well. You want to call them on 0200-841988. Habil's Couture _GH is what you can find on IG and located during an opposite Villa David Estate. That's where you can find them. Habil's Couture put this costume together for me. I'm grateful to them. Now, let me read a couple of your messages that you've sent to us. We're still on the CJ issue. And so I'm going to do a few of the messages you sent to us. And then we'll come back. We'll see if we can touch on the NPP's patriotic institute that was launched yesterday as well, and see moving forward what we can do with that. Now, the question to Madame Tokonu, is she the first woman ever suspended in Ghana, or the Supreme Court is her father's house? So you swore an oath before you start the work, and the same oath will send you out from the office if you're misbehaving. She should not be disrespectful to His Excellency John Dramani Mahamad's seat. And that's a message you sent in right now. Let me go to this one over here, and it says, coming from Akonsi Gariba in Tamale, it says, "Good morning, KMJ. Who in Ghana doesn't know that the NDC and the President Mahama are behind the petitions to remove the Chief Justice Tokono in order to clear the way for the removal of the leadership of the EC to serve their party interests. I think the CJ shouldn't resign, so that if she's being sacked by President Mahama, the next president would also sack the Chief Justice who will be appointed by President Mahama. Why does the NDC administration want to politicize every institution in Ghana? The truth shall make Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia the next president of Ghana. And I'm sure with that said, Doctor will disagree. Yeah. Alasan says, Doctor would disagree because Dr. Brian Champon to be in that position instead. This one says, good morning to everyone. What at all did the suspended CJ think she is? She should realize that she was appointed and the Constitution has given Ghanaians the way she should be disappointed if she found fault of the law. The emotional speeches on press conferences will not solve the problem or will not even save her from what she has been accused of. The better she comply with the rules and regulations of the laws of the state and avail herself to the committee, the better for all of us. In any case, the law is still the law, and the same Supreme Court justices she was heading are still the same people she's busy accusing. And let me go to the next one over here, and this one says, good morning, okay. Good morning, KMJ. You see the issue of Galamsey menace? Okay, I think that was yesterday. So down here we have got your message, and it's a very long one. And I know who this one is coming from. Okay. Good morning, KMJ. The process of the removal of the CJ was already in gutters since the inception of the case. KMJ, tell Prof and Lawyer Jantua that the CJ did no wrong by briefing the public. Lawyer Jantua and others are here praising the AG for constantly briefing the public on cases in the country. Unless we want to be hypocritical, who on earth doesn't know that the process she's passing through is not political? Please tell Lawyer Jantua that you can still be following due process, but undermining the Constitution. Who on earth doesn't know that the CJ removal is premeditated? Unless we all want to pretend and be hypocritical, the NDC and their likes are hiding behind the process to remove the CJ, and I'm certain she would be removed. She has the right to talk, and she shouldn't allow anyone to intimidate her to shut up. KMJ,
just before you go on,
yeah.
Did I not cite a case from the Supreme Court that
made reference to you? Exactly.
So what is he saying?
All right. It says that KMJ, kindly mark it somewhere that once the CJ is removed based on this so-called due process, then the next CJ will follow suit, and it's eminent as it's premeditated to fulfill a campaign promise. The entire NDC and one gentleman in the country, the president wants her to be removed, and she'll be removed, and no matter the decision from the so-called political committee. It is purely political. But are you saying that if the committee found her not guilty, the president will still remove her? Is that what you're trying to say?
If she's not guilty, she goes back to her job.
Nanton, do your thesis over here is making us ask a lot of questions, but I think I can disagree with this one. If the committee finds her not guilty, I'm not sure the president would say,
yes,
I forcefully want to remove you, so I want to remove you. But that's your message. It says it's pure, okay. The entire NDC was against the appointment of new judges as they said the number was okay. So what has changed? The NDC can even remove all judges and prevent lawyers suspected to align to the MPP from practicing, but they shouldn't continue to be in power forever. If not, whoever will be appointed as CJ, the NDC, even if they appoint the former president Anado as a CJ, he will also be removed by the next NPP government with the same so-called due process. You don't need a magician to tell you this. The NDC is certain the president Ghana will regret witnessing. Thanks for the thesis, Tondu. I enjoy reading from you, by the way. Let me go on this one over here, and it says that good morning, KMJ. The former CJ, Madame Tokono, suspended. She's not former yet. She's not been removed from office yet. Been misleading. If not, I don't think Madame would have gone so down like that. Ignatius from Bolgat Central sent in that. Let me go to the next one over here. Good morning, KMJ. The Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono should have pursued removal proceedings through the proper legal channels rather than holding a press conference. If she believes that she has evidence to support her case, the appropriate forum is to go to the court, not a public media briefing. It's concerning that her actions may be perceived as unconstitutional. Some speculate that the opposition MPP might be influencing her decisions, which could further complicate the situation. By taking her case to court, she can allow the legal system to determine the outcome rather than relying on public opinion. Timothy Anabila from Bechem sent in. Let me go to the next one over here. And it says that okay.
The people are writing this.
I'm telling you, dog. This is you. Today, some people are so jubilant because the head of the judiciary, the third arm of government, is being removed on very questionable grounds. So you may love or loathe the embattled CJ, but remember, no human deserves this kind of injustice. The architects of this precedence may die before the outcome of this begins to unfold before our very eyes. But where will you and I be? Oh, don't come ask me about the former EC boss, because I'm not here to teach what you are not willing to learn. And the CJ is indeed a strong woman. Not many can be this strong in the face of such inhuman treatment being meted out to her. Many people like myself know that those men will definitely succeed, because the masses have been brainwashed or even programmed to think that she deserves it because she was biased towards these political actors. These political actors have preyed on the ignorance of the masses and managed to condition them to reason in a certain way, including lawyers and respected individuals. CJ Gertrude is the victim today. It may be you or me tomorrow. Brookman Anobil sent in that as well. The next one over here says CJ is only in Africa that people fight over their office. The CJ has stinted herself. Last year, we all saw her supporting MPP in the court. The law is the law. We can't maintain someone who is not fit in office just because we don't want to be changing CJ. Let's clean Ghana. And let me go to Teacher. Teacher Kojo says that the Chief Justice Tokono has spoken the truth, and the truth will vindicate her. As for those people hiding under the cover of darkness, if you treat her this way, it would be put to shame. Thank you for explaining the things to us. So over to you, President Mahama. Do the right thing and let the innocent woman have a peace. And the response from the office of the president shows how jittery the government stands as. Greetings to Obatampa Hawakumsin. All right, let me go to the next one over here. And it says over here, what is the NPP saying? Was Charlotte Osei removal political, carefully planned and persecuted by the NPP? Was Yao Demolevo removal political, carefully planned and persecuted by the NPP? Has the court system, structure, justices, and administration changed? She can go hold a press conference in Mokola. It won't wash. Lamentations do not work in court. The law is the law. Did I hear the NPP man say Ghanaians will one day vote for idiots? We did it.
You already mentioned the
becoming now.
You didn't read it.
Oh, becoming now. Musa says that the suspended Chief Justice appears to be a bit for public sympathy and a distraction from the ongoing probe. Plenty talk, no, they will buy horse. Linking a situation to the 1982 murder of judges is irrelevant, and if that logic held, Charlotte Osei could have also held a public cry when she was removed. Let due process work, no matter how many noises are made. The law is the law. Maybe I'll do the last one, and then we'll move on. And that's coming from another thesis, maybe, from Kefrim Point. It says, good morning, KMJ. Among all the places in Accra, including the courts, government chose a place where CJ Tokono Anko was murdered for her hearing. How insensitive can we treat people in such manner? What is her crime to be subjected to such a human manner? According to Ofusu Kwache, government didn't choose the venue, but the state rather issued the venue to the committee. What was Felix defending? He went on to say that the place has seen a facelift and it's well equipped, and other state agencies operate from there. So Felix is telling us because the place have seen a facelift, it has lost its history, because the place have been developed is no more the place the CJ anchor was murdered, because the place government is treating the whole Chief Justice in this such manner, and people have a problem with CJ coming out to talk. The hypocrisy in this country is sometimes unbelievable. It's no secret the president in opposition said he will reset the judicial service, and most NDC top officials openly said the CJ will be sacked when voted into power. What are we seeing today? The president and his party are doing exactly what they said in opposition. We're setting a bad precedent, which will come back to haunt us as a country tomorrow. Today is Tokono, so you don't see anything wrong with it. What would it cost the state to change the venue? And maybe this question is what I will ask lawyer quickly before we move on to our next topic. The venue of the hearing, she seemed to have issues with that.
If you are being tried and they decide to try you at the beach, do you have any say?
Well, you don't, but based on whatever history you have with the place, maybe you will show a bit of concern. Why this place? Why not any other place?
Cannot be intimidated and should not be intimidated, no matter what. Let us stick to the case.
You think she's being sentimental about that?
And I said earlier, I didn't understand why she brought that in. I don't understand why she brought that. There is a case before us. There is a case before you. Let your evidence be watertight so that you can be exonerated. Zero, period. Wherever they decide to hold the case, be there. Be there. Not unless you feel where they are going to hold the case, it isn't a place where you like. Yes, you can state to them that because of A, B, C, D, E, please, I would rather you didn't hold. And that should be between you and the state.
Not in a presser.
Not in a presser. Not in a presser. What does that do? You're courting people's sympathy because of that. You know, someone has just said it. Courting somebody's sympathy. If it's something you do between the two of you, those going to try you, and then please, it is sentimental for me. It's because of A, B, C, D, E. And those who she's appealing to should be able to listen to her and say, okay, if that is the case, we'll move it. We are all human. We are all human. And certain things affect people in different ways. Me, if it was my father or somebody, and you said you're good, that would even give me yes, because I know the spirit of my father is there with me. The spirit of my father is there with me. It's not everybody who would think down that line. And she is expressing.
She's emotional.
Well, exactly. She's emotional.
And it should be given consideration.
And the fact that she has even been able, she's the first CJ who has come out to do this. She's had the guts and the wherewithal to come out and do this. Shows she's a strong woman. And such things should not push her. Take me anywhere you want to take me to. Anywhere. I will come and defend it. The thing is, your case should be watertight. Period. Your lawyer should have the wherewithal to state your case in front of the justices.
She's seen the evidence. The evidence is strong.
Clearly.
It's very strong. So that's
no ultra-virus to it.
The evidence.
Nothing wrong. Get your evidence right. But as I said, I'm not happy with the fact that what she already told us is going to be evidence, isn't it? Her lawyers would be able to state what she has told us when the case comes up. Don't expose the general public. What you need to do is tighten it, all the holes, tighten it, so that when you now meet them, your defense is solid. It is up to them to prove, no be so?
Yeah.
It is up to them to prove. Case is solid, and that's it. If you're exonerated, if you're exonerated, you have to say, I've been exonerated, I don't want the position anymore. I've been able to prove my case. Or you say, I'm going back to the CJ. Now, that's where the challenge also comes in. If you're exonerated and you are brought back as CJ, how would you deal with your fellow colleagues? Because you should remember, your fellow colleagues are doing a job that has been bestowed on them. As to how they handle it, their emotions, how they do it and all that, is neither here nor there. Because you are at the apex of that office that looks after all the judges. And she should be wise enough to let bygones be bygones. And the question is, if she is exonerated and she comes back, would she be able to do that? Would she be able to say, okay, it's a process we went through, it's over, and
life continues.
Life continues. Would she be able to do that?
That's a big question.
And that is where it can create a huge, difficulty. And you see, the politicians too wade in. Yankan Jeremo. She's innocent, Yankan Jeremo. And the politics will also come in. And the politics will come in such a way that might not allow her to do that thing of bringing everybody together. And I hope and pray that if she's exonerated, she can stand above politics and bring everybody together, because it will be required. Otherwise, the judiciary will be divided down the line.
She's got the power to take someone out if she wants to.
Yeah, but it shouldn't.
Based on how she feels,
it shouldn't be so.
Back.
It shouldn't be so. It should be based on principle and based on whether that individual has done anything ultra-virus to the position they have as the Supreme Court judge.
So she can use her own power to say that I didn't like how you went about it, so I'm taking you out of the...
You shouldn't go down that line at all. You shouldn't sideline some of the judges and not give them any case to do. All that she should try as much as possible, if she's exonerated, not to go down that line. That will show her maturity. And it is key. Very, very, very important. Otherwise, when the judiciary is split and an executive is split, and the executive they won't be split, and a legislature is split. At this point, we won't have a split legislature because NDC have a massive majority in Parliament, so that won't happen. But if it were in the last Parliament, where the numbers, then we are in for a challenge. Please, please, above all, it is the people of Ghana who have put you there to serve. Please serve. Simple.
Okay. Doc, you want to say anything before?
Yeah, I was just going to say that if anybody had doubts that Dr. Brian Champon will be putting in for presidential when the nominations are open, I think this week, during his visitation to the Presby Church, or shall I say the Presby moderator, he made it quite clear to all of us that he's ready to stand, and that he'll put in. And hopefully, I think that, you know, the intra-party strife is tough. And I'm hoping that he captures it because he serves as a middle ground, and that can be a unifying approach where both sides can find a route to winning the 2028 elections. And more importantly,
how does he serve as a middle ground?
I think, well, you know, we have two prior candidates who duked out, and both is like that, two factions in a way. If you've been following the MPP, yes. So he serves as a middle ground for
you want
for
to
the
create
party.
that for him.
We are hoping that being a refreshing new candidate, people will consider him as a unifier, and will use that path to victory.
And you're sure he can be a unifier?
Oh, he has all that it takes. Now, in addition, let me add two key things. Two key things that I think that invariably, looking at his profile, in terms of his experience politically, since being the chief of staff for Jacob Ichebi in the 2000s, going through a few losses in an attempt to be an MP in Suhum, and then being a fourth-term member of parliament, Minister of State, Minister of Agriculture, which we all know, I think he has been through the mill, and that will help him in terms of decisions to be made in this country. And I'm very hopeful that Dr. Brian Champon can come out victorious and give us a one-touch victory. Now, in addition to that, my key thing, which I must be very frank about it, our recovery of seats from the NDC,
or losing more,
you know, can be activated largely based on his experience. And I know what I'm talking about. I mean, if you look region by region, what he did with the Eastern region is commendable. We had a net loss of 1 compared to other regions. And I think that if we should replicate the support and the hard work they did in the Eastern region across, even in Greater Accra alone, we stand a better chance of recovering our seats. And case in point, we won 88 seats this time, but the presidential we lost more. And I think all of that needs to be looked at in making a decision.
May I ask you a question?
Okay.
May I ask you a question?
I think we'll dovetail this conversation. This one.
I just wanted to put that
the
up.
MPP.
I just want to ask him a question.
Now you're playing.
When I'm not playing host, it's my mind and thought process.
Yeah.
When Dr. Brian Champon was in power, how was he perceived, both by Ghanaians and by your party people? Was he seen as someone who, inverted commas, will include an arrogant person? Was he seen as somebody who wouldn't listen? And really and truly, can he win the country? It is one thing, your delegates voting for him. Wait. It's one thing, your delegates voting, and it is one thing,
the whole country voting,
winning the country. And that is why I have said, the MPP at this point, and look at what President Kufuor said, the MPP at this point needs to build confidence in the people. And the people don't need to see strife between those who want to stand. That's why I'm not an MPP person. I would like a situation where all of them will sit in a room, bring the party first and say, look, all of us want to stand. What are the qualities of you? What are the qualities of you? When we look at all of us, who amongst us is likely to be able to win the country? And look at all those things that could. Because remember, if President Mahama is able to run this country the way people expect him to run it, and he leaves this country on a high, it's not going to be easy to push the NDC out. Why? Because it is not the individual Ghanaians vote for. They vote for a party. And I always use Dr. Liman as an example. 79, our fathers made sure that the CPP tradition, which had gone into another name because they had banned the CPP, was strong. Who knew Liman? Nobody knew Liman. Did he not win against a stalwart Peter Owusu? Did he not win against him? So, you see, and if you remember...
Nkrumah won against people who were known. So I think that one is not a very strong...
If you remember, last week...
Even yesterday, the governor...
Last week, I indicated
for
that...
New York
last week,
to a new entrance.
I indicated that, if for nothing at all, the MPP should go to President Kufuor and sit with him so that he gives them the trajectory of their party. He has come out.
Is that not what they have started with the political institute, the patriotic institute that they have?
He has come out. And what has he said? Ethnicity, tribal, all that kind of thing. He wants you to push it away.
Well, at this point, is it possible that they can even achieve that?
Well,
with what they have started with the patriotic institute, do you think it's something they can achieve?
Look, when you look at the massive loss of the MPP in the last election, they need to climb back up. And I'm not sure who said it. I think it was President Kufuor who said it. Yes, if you are not careful, the way the MDC have been able to destroy us in terms of the elections, we will become unelectable if we are not careful. He said it in his statement. That says a lot, that you need to come together. And this wrangling that has started within all those delegates who are coming can be a very challenging thing for them if they don't handle it properly.
Agreed.
If they don't handle it properly. So
Agreed.
in as much as Doc is trying to portray his candidate, he should look at the unity side. That is the most important.
That is why we're bringing...
Doc, I'm going to come back to you for you to tell us more about the patriotic. But let me go to Prof.
I'm happy. I've seen when Dr. entered, I looked at the top was Brian Champion, so I know that's the topic of your discussion. It's unfortunate we are not looking at that one, but you see, the issue is, Kemje, let me tell you the honest truth.
Yeah.
For the first time, I agree that the MPP has taken a right decision. That is the decision to set up the patriotic institute. It's better late than never. But I want to suggest to them that the first intake should be the entire leadership of the MPP. That should be the first intake. My only worry is who is going to teach them.
That's what I was just about asking.
That's my only problem.
What has happened to the other institutes? The Danko.
People were thinking that it was sleeping, but I'm sure Doc will give us some explanation to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The first intake of that patriotic school should be the entire NDC leadership. And maybe come to the NDC. Yes, maybe come to the NDC to come and teach them. Because you see, I have the party, when President Kufuor won, I remember I was still a student.
I'm listening.
I was still a student. that party at the time advanced ideas, such that even those of us who, by our ideology, are social democrats, we felt that they were advancing a message. Today, you struggle to find any ideological stance in the MPP. To the point that they went to an election and then go on a campaign platform, I will give you a mobile phone and you pay 1 CD. And I'm like, is this the party that even intellectuals were pandering to? So I'll tell you without any equivocation that you need to attend that school and make it at least an 8-year program, because the extent to which your party has sunk, it will take the exit of the current generation, unless people who have forgotten what this country has been through the last 8 years, they may be thinking, okay, can we give the MPP a chance? But given the current state, and I'm happy Doc is advocating Dr. Brian Achampong, I can tell you here that as I'm sitting here, it will be easier to identify a left-handed ant than to find somebody in the MPP today who is not a principal actor and a key beneficiary of the misgovernance that happened over the last 8 years. And until you prove that you are bringing somebody who is not part of that collective failure and raping of this country, you can't expect Ghanaians to vote you. I'll be point blank with you. Let me tell you something people are not taking into note. The NDC has not only re-engineered itself to become a policy-driven, data-driven party, it has also mastered the process of election to the point that you can no longer cheat this party. I can tell you that for sure. You cannot. Oh, we are all, the NDC is always cheated. We know that for sure. We know that for sure. But even going into the elections, what I saw maybe as somebody even at the periphery, I know that it's very impossible. So if you are selecting a candidate, know that President Mahama is going. Even if they select me, I'll beat anybody in the NPP in an election.
Okay.
And that 2032, that fellow will now be an incumbent. So if you are selecting a candidate, look at the future and be honest. Can you have somebody who will be a realistic contender in 2032? Otherwise, maybe your patriotic school may just be a new university you should set and then employ yourself there as lecturers and seek your livelihood there, because it's not going to be that easy.
Isn't it rich by the UP tradition to have this institute?
It's refreshing. I mean,
it is rich. When they the same people who bastardized Kwame Nkrumah's ideological institute,
Who's going to teach
all kinds of things about it? Now they've come to learn that he was right, so we should.
There's the way to go.
And in this Fourth Republic, the MPP hasn't had ideology, so then ideology is in the key. If you talk to them, it's true. Because I had people tell me, say, "Contempt, you this ideology thing. It doesn't work right now."
But that has been the MPP.
Yeah. No, they believe in packaging.
The elite MPP that we saw. I mean, this is like.
I was just going to submit my last point that the MPP thinks election is about getting a candidate, packaging the candidate, and sending it there. They think governance, your policy stance, and even your track record doesn't matter. And I've always asked, if the MPP was a secondary school or a university, or even a crèche, who would send his child to that school? Let's just be honest. If you had a ward who is in secondary school, he attended MPP and failed the way it failed, will you send your child there? I don't think so. So I want to say something.
You stay in to make change.
No.
And drivers of change.
It needs reaccreditation. You see.
well, I can agree with you that we need to re-engineer a new image, and that is
that's a fact. I mean that,
from
where we sit right now.
Yeah. I mean, and in doing that comes with making some monumental changes and break away from maybe some of the key players before. And let me be a bit difficult in the sense that I believe firmly that leadership matters. And in that sense, as Kwame Nkrumah did some strides in this country single-handedly, I mean, whether we like it or not, his contribution was individualistic and can be measured.
It was massive.
You know,
it was massive.
But my key point is that I beg to differ on the sense that to say that just the machine matters. The drivers make a difference, and I believe firmly that leadership can make change. I mean, it's like soccer. Once you change your captain, you can have a whole different game with the same players, or you can have a very bad game with the same players. So I want to admit that yes, the MPP is at a low point, agreeably, and I believe that to jumpstart this recovery process, key to me are the seats that we need to recover, and which of the candidates present us a better option in terms of strategy. In terms of even what he has said today, that we need a candidate who can be ready in even 2032. Worst case scenario, if we drop 2028, you get my whole point. And on that note, he's driving a key point that a younger candidate now.
You're using my point to campaign for.
And a younger candidate now will be very good for us as a party. As a party, if you take anybody much older. 2032.
That would be a challenge.
It's a huge challenge.
Yeah.
I'm taken aback by
it's not a
Biden.
Of a younger candidate.
Biden, whose intellectual capacity dwindled down. I mean, because of old age. Senile dementia now certainly is something that we need to look at carefully as parties. And on a whole, Lawyer Jantua, it's painful that some of us always prefer the elderly, but medically, it's become very troubling for me because I think that old age catches up with some of our people and they cannot perform. And that African attitude, I mean, look at Macron, look at Obama, look at the age at which they were handling bigger nations, bigger economy than us. When are we going to change?
So it's ability.
When are we going to change?
Ability is key.
Competence.
In everything you do.
Competence.
Ability and being able to know how to handle that office, young or old, is key.
So let's help our young.
Sometimes
let's help our young.
And you see, because we don't have
4 masters, 2 PhDs.
Because we don't have a system where we train politicians to get into power, it becomes very difficult when somebody young gets in, doesn't know his left from his right, and is learning on the job there. When you get there, you're not learning on the job. You should know that this is the way it should go. Yes, we've seen an example in Africa. Toure, is he called Toure? Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
He has shown us that if your mindset is such that you have country first, you can do it. Do we have country first in this country? We tend not to have country first. We tend to have personal interest first before country, and that can become a problem, especially where the youth are concerned.
Okay, let me do a few messages on our Facebook page. Daniel Transer says, good morning. I would always caution the government to be careful on the CJ's case. It's politically influenced. Greetings to lawyer Justin Kodia and my own boss, Krobia Asante, incoming National Youth Organizer. Amoko just says, good morning, KMJ and your noble panel. KMJ, CJ Tokuno's press conference yesterday was much ado about nothing. CJ Tokuno today doesn't have any faith in the same judiciary she was pretending some months back, or something has changed in the judiciary. If the judiciary she was pretending over was unbiased, and just why she is complaining about the constitutional process being chaired by a member of the judiciary. CJ Tokuno claims she has received a threat, and instead of reporting to the lawfully mandated institution, she was, which is the police, she is rushing to the press. Has the law stopped being the law? This one says that the Chief Justice Tokuno has spoken the truth, and the truth will vindicate her. As for those people hiding under the cover of darkness, if you treat her this way, you will be put to shame. Thank you for explaining things to us. Over to you, President Mahama. Do the right thing and let the innocent woman have a peace. The response from the office of the president shows how jittery the government stands as. Greetings to Obatampa. Now, let me go to Master Plan, and it says Chief Justice Tokuno is so brilliant. Her statement yesterday really makes so much sense. President Mahama want to do judicial coup d'etat. Ajafo Monzuri. Munti na maba yeah bro. I'm sorry. Tokuno must stay. Master Planner in Contempt. Well, that was funny.
No, that was a judge for.
A judge for Sorry, Wintina, Mommy, every. Come on now. A judge. That's a typical way of saying judge in chi. Okay. Onas Daddy says, good morning. My confusion is that lawyers of the suspended CJ defending her in court are members of MPP. Yes, she turns around to say her removal process is political. Again, as a justice of the Supreme Court, I was expecting her to cite at least one or two statutes that had been breached. It's also interesting to hear those who used to direct us to courts go to court are now busily settling their own cases in the court of public opinion. Finally, are they not these same people who had the courage to tell the Attorney General to stop updating the media on the status of his investigations and prosecutions on us in a simple South Center?
Read that one. No, read that one. Read that one. Yes.
This one.
Get it.
Gastiman says, no wonder Mr. Janto will have such energy to talk the way he has done. If it's not an NDC person who sent the petition, ask him who did. This hypocrisy and dishonesty won't help. His entrenched positions with the NDC doesn't help with discussion. He sees no evil when it comes, when it's all about the NDC. Oh boy. Hey, Mr. Janto, bro, a lawyer for Monsorio. Amisko Spelele says, Dr. Baumia, about 2028, says, Chief Justice Mr. Tokoro has really exposed all.
Give my phone number to that guy.
Agenda being said for a removal. In fact, our judiciary shouldn't be under attack. So JDM, I should reinstate her now and allow her to do a work called Tom Abba. Anyway, regards to Honorable Mavis Howard Kumsin. And Timothy says, good morning, KMJ. The Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono should have pursued the removal proceedings from the through the proper legal channels rather than holding a press conference. If she believes she has evidence to support a case, the appropriate forum is the court and not public opinion, public media briefing. It's concerning her actions may be perceived as unconstitutional. Some speculate that the opposition MPP might be influencing her decisions, which could further complicate the situation. By taking a case to court, she can allow the legal system to determine the outcome rather than relying on public opinion. Timothy Sentinda Musa says the suspended Chief Justice appears to be a bid for public sympathy and a distraction from the ongoing probe. Plenty talk, no day by horse. Linking her situation to the 1982 murder of judges is relevant, and if that logic held Charlotte Osei could have also held a public cry when she was removed. Let due process, but no matter how many noises are made, the law is the law. And as Samina Samankes says, the current government's agenda to remove the Chief Justice is apparent, and every citizen in this country can attest to this fact, given the frequent remarks about the removal and the subsequent focus on the Electoral Commission, which should not be surprised. I commend the leadership of the NPP for emerging from the Patriotic Institute with praiseworthy plans to win the next election. Fellow patriots, let us rally behind whoever emerges as our flag bearer through a democratic process, as unity is vital. Regards to Thomas Oyeneba Boache. A lot of people are looking out for how the MPP elections is going to turn out, especially with what they have started, with the Patriotic Institute. So yes, eyes will be on that a lot. Nia Jabing says, Lawyer Jantwa, if it's about who's advising the CJ to talk the way she does, then it's Afenyo Makino. Every single sentence she uttered yesterday at the press has sounded more in Afenyo Maki's voice. That's what it is. All right. The last one for me over here will be Daniel. He says, good morning. I will always caution the government to be careful on the CJ's case. It's politically influenced. Greetings to lawyer Justin Koduya. Okay, I think I repeated this one again somewhere. And, okay, I've read that one too as well, I think. It says, Chief Justice Tokono has spoken the truth, and the truth will vindicate her as those people. Okay, I think I've done that also. So those are some of the messages you sent on WhatsApp to us this morning. We're grateful to Franco Trading Enterprise for bringing us News Flash today here on the show. And you can actually go and grab your phones, your CCTV cameras, your televisions, your microwaves, your air conditionings, refrigerators. You can buy all of that once you walk into Franco Trading Enterprise. Call the numbers on your screens and download the app. It's the Franco Trading app, and you can also visit our website. It's www.francotrading.com. .com, and you're good to go. Let me say a very big thank you to Twist Collections. Twist Collections is located in a Doom Blue Light adjacent to LOFM. They actually gave me my sneakers that I'm wearing. Very, very beautiful sneakers. Twist Collections. You can call them on 054-667-8247 or 055-967-30746. Twist Collections. Anywhere you are, they can make the delivery for you. You should see my sneakers, man. It's on point. And I've got a surprise for Lawyer Jantua, by the way. Can anyone help me with that over there? And let me also say a big thank you to Habil's Couture. Habil's Couture, you can call them on 0200-841-988 for my costume today. Habil's Couture, you can find them Habil's Couture_GH. You can just, contact them. So Lawyer Jantua saw a sneaker that I wore and wanted a similar one. And decided to, see what I can get for him. So this is
my guy. I'm wearing this.
So yeah, this is your yes,
with the brooch.
Yeah, and if you want to surprise him, his size is 44, so you can surprise him. Yeah, you can surprise him. Buy a nice sneaker. He loves it. He loves.
Thank you. I love it.
Yeah,
I have to wear this today.
I want you to be younger.
Thank you.
32.
Thank you.
Oh, see, Sammy's jealous.
2022.
Nice one.
Yeah, but
I'm going to galley in it.
I know. Yeah, I feel young at heart.
Yes. I'm young.
That'll be all for this morning, but a big thank you to this very distinguished gentleman for coming through this morning and helping us understand.
Somebody called me last week that I should do business with
Prof.
You want to end with me again?
I didn't understand why. He called me, a viewer.
At EPA or where?
Yeah, he said.
Or personal business.
He said, do business with them, and the man is good. I said,
is
it? Yes. I don't know what kind of business he's talking about.
I don't know.
But that is what he said.
Maybe he's thinking I can be your running mate.
and Doug also started off with Prof this morning on EPA. So I don't know. It looks like every Thursday you'll be going through this a lot. So prepare.
No, the person said he's a good man, and they like the way he says his things. You have to do business with him.
I see.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yes.
The senior is always.
Can I be your PA then?
It depends on the objective.
I see, but because they have spoken about it at length. I mean, last week, I'm sure the lawyer also mentioned, but what's going on in the EPA, the environment? Things are better now?
Yes, I think we're doing very well. We still planning. As I said, we didn't meet things the way we expected them, and so
almost all the institutions.
Almost all the institutions. So we are struggling to revive the place, put it on a better finance
Minister should bring your money back.
Trajectory. I've always said, working with a very energetic leader, I like and admire her a lot. She every morning I get to the office, I go see her. She always like, you go on, you have all my support, and I like that. Yesterday she was out there touring the mines and doing some work in the eastern region, and sometimes when I want to step back and I see the energy she brings into the job, I get encouraged. One thing I can assure you is that we'll turn things around, and we are on it.
Someone tells me that the environment has been wailing. Every night at 12 midnight, our environment will be crying all throughout the night till the next day.
Yeah, it's a whole nuanced issue. The problems range from, of course, our lack of resources, that we are now playing catch up. We build everything, plan everything, do everything, and then we now think of environmental issues. So it is not easy to undo most of the things that have been done. Our approach is to minimize the impact of what has already been destroyed, whilst we have a clearer plan for the future. It's not going to be easy. You meet a lot of resistances, and the good thing is that she and I are both professors from the academia, so we still have that bit inside us that we want to step on a few toes to do the right thing. So sometimes they call her and then she will talk and say, "Oh, Prof, go and do your work."
That's it.
Yeah, and that's what we want.
But I didn't see you at the nuclear conference this week where we were looking.
No, we were doing some other things. So
AEP wasn't present, but you have a huge role in there.
yeah, I think I had a function at our Amasama office. The CEO wasn't there, but we asked somebody to come. I'm quite sure. Yeah,
The person wasn't there.
Okay. Doc, you good?
Mine is still about
no water.
so I'll see them about it.
Okay.
And to ensure, I mean, listen, I mean, clean water, affordable water are very important.
Yeah.
And I can't mince my words in terms of its impact on our health as a country.
So you agree Galamsey is a national issue, not a party issue?
No, I've always been like that.
Yeah. He's always mentioned that. Anyway, let me send a very special good morning to. Yesterday, I was at the Insawam prison to see the commander, and such a very, very humble man. We had a very great time. Myself and the CEO of BH Fetagro and Adam the musician were there yesterday. There's something that the fertilizer company is trying to do for the Insawam prisons in terms of their crops. You know, they're trying to do irrigation project for them and all of that. So we spent almost about close to 2 hours with the commander. We're supposed to go to the farms and check their farms. They had an issue, a very big issue with their crops because they couldn't get the water supply that they needed, and that destroyed all the crops. This was before the fertilizer company gave them some fertilizers. The crops were very, very, very well. I mean, they had made many of them grow very well and all that. Unfortunately, because of the lack of water, everything went down. And the commander was almost crying in his office when we visited him. So he's looking for support from individuals, and we decided that they want to give some irrigation projects that they can, you know, when there's no water, they can still be able to.
Would you agree with me that government should find money to redo Insawam prison?
I do agree. The things that I heard the commander say,
yes. I don't understand why
they need that.
It's gone on for this long. Insawam prison.
And they have lands.
It's not
huge lands.
It isn't a place where people should even be put as a prison. Something has to be done.
Yeah.
Government should look at it. The Minister of Interior should look at it and find money.
Yeah.
To redo Insawam prison.
I agree.
Because it is not a
if you go there 3 times, you're not careful.
Yeah.
It's not easy at all.
Yeah, it's not an easy place to be.
It's not
an easy place to be.
Yeah.
Yes, they might have done wrong, but rehabilitation is the key thing. Let's revamp Insawam. In fact, all the prisons. And if every government comes every 4 years and does a bit, in 20 years, we would have achieved the results.
That's true. So, good morning to you, the Deputy Director of Prisons, TDP Patrick Thomas Seidu. You're the Eastern Regional Commander and Officer in charge of Insawam Medium Security Prison. And it's going out to you and the entire team. You guys are doing a good job. If you assess what is going on and how you are always able to, you know, make these people feel comfortable where they are and give them hope, I think that it's something that is well commendable. And so, a very good morning to you, and thanks so much for what you do for the prisons. DDP Patrick Thomas Seidu is the Eastern Regional Commander and Officer in charge of Insawam Medium Security Prison.